Sometimes when making a game, any dev will probably tell you that occasionally their mind strays. I'm not really a proper game dev, but even I'd probably tell you that. I've been working on my game for a long time, but every now and then I'll get this weird nagging inclination to just start a new project. I usually prevent myself from doing this since I know that I should really be putting any spare time I have into my primary game. But sometimes I like to convince myself that it's a good idea to stretch my limited skills and see what would happen if I were to devote a few hours to mocking up a quick prototype of another idea that might have drifted into my head. I don't actually know if this is a good idea or not, of course, since I'm not really a developer. I'm just somebody who is trying to make a game at this moment in time. Regardless, this past weekend I decided to throw myself into prototyping a new, simple game, a twin-stick shooter, in order to give myself a bit of a break from the relentless work of drawing art assets for Drawn Before. This turned out to be an enjoyable task, and quite honestly, it's got me wondering if I could knock up this new idea into a full game relatively quickly. You see, it turns out Drawn Before is not the small project I originally envisioned it to be. Not that I'm any less inspired to actually continue working on it, but throwing out another project which seems like a tiny percentage of the work it would take to finish my main game is quite appealing at the moment. That's not to say this project has dragged me away from Drawn Before, of course. Quite the opposite really, since it's made me realise how deceptively alluring the early stages of a new project are, and how that feeling can run away with you. When starting to develop a new game, especially in the prototyping stage, ideas seem to flow much more easily, and it's tempting to be seduced by the thought that this will always be the case. Of course, this isn't what actually happens in practice at all. Once you get into the nitty-gritty of fine-tuning your gaming systems, mechanics, artwork, level design and feel, you quickly realise you're exactly back to where you were in your previous endeavour, that period of grinding lull where you're face to face with the fact that in order to actually get the game finished you need to do nothing more than knuckle down and get on with it. Sometimes it's an extremely monotonous task, but you just have to do it to get it done. But then what's the answer? Ignore all the ideas and inclinations that arrive along the way while you're developing your current game? Just persevere and never even try the other projects which might end up being the better game at the end of it? Or flippantly dodge the grind and endlessly hop onto the next shiny new idea that pops into your head? So here's my thought, maybe there's a happy medium. Perhaps I could be disciplined about this lack of discipline. What if I were to allow myself a 2-week period in every 6 weeks of game development to pursue another idea? Not necessarily ideas I'd always want to continue with, but is there any real harm in a break from constant development on my main project? Well, the brutal truth is I don't know. You see, I mentioned in my last video that my main fear right now is that burnout will strike once again, and once again I'll take a months-long break from making Drawn Before, a game I really want to finish. Would allowing myself time to work on other smaller prototypes every 4 to 6 weeks for a while help with the inevitable burnout, or would it make it worse? I simply don't know. So I suppose that's the crux of this video, I simply don't know. I don't know about that, and I don't know about a million other things with game development, but I'll keep chipping away regardless. Thanks for watching.